Hello, you're listening to Tony Slattery's Rambling Club, and you're most welcome.
Oh, hello, my name's Paul Carmichael.
And I'm Alan Lear.
And welcome to the Rambling Club. You join us, of course, in the presidential shed this Friday at 5 to 5. And still we wait for him, Al. He's not got back yet, has he?
No, I don't know how he manages it. The man must have, well, I mean, we know he could drink, but how much fluid he's imbibed in the past few months, who knows?
It's really quite remarkable. The bill for the flush is going to be unbelievable, but still we... Oh, there's a knock at the door. Do you want to get that, Al, and see who it is?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, hello, it's Bill there.
Bill?
Bill, he's got my ladders.
Oh, I don't know. Alan?
Yoko Ono was around earlier collecting ladders, wasn't she? She's doing another of her installations in the church.
Yeah, but they're the only ones I know of, certainly. Are you sure? I don't know. Is it a Bill? Who's Bill?
Bill, no, Bill, just Bill. Is this not where Bill lives?
No, this isn't where Bill lives. It's, but hang on a moment. Isn't that Ian Reddington?
Oh, hi, hey, hello, hi.
Oh, Ian. Oh, no, there's no Bill here, but there's just us in the shed at the moment. Tony's not back yet.
Sorry, I was in that another parallel. Sorry, yeah, place. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's absolutely fine. Do you want to come in for a minute and just get your bearings? Come into the shed.
No, don't mind. Thank you very much. Where would you like me? Where shall I sit?
Oh, anywhere you fancy. I don't think there's anywhere particularly to avoid apart from the president's throne, is there?
No, I'll take the little three-legged stool with him.
Oh, the milking stool, by all means, yes. It's worryingly close to the presidential throne, but by all means, take it.
Lovely. Well, all right, it's a pleasure. Well, listen, Ian, we were about to give... this is, of course, Tony's bingo machine here, and we were about to give it a bit of a whirl. We have to do it once a week just to keep it ticking over until he bothers to show his face again. I wonder... Would you like to come with us on a little bit of a ramble, and we could give the machine a whirl and see where we end up?
Listen. Go on. I've got a minute.
All right, brilliant.
As long as I go back with the ladders, I'm happy.
But I think we can guarantee, absolutely, by the end of this, you'll have the ladders and possibly an awful lot more than you came in with. But we'll find out. So let's give the machine a whirl and see where we end up. Here we go.
Tony's enchanted bingo machine. A curious contraption of cogs, levers, and glowing buttons that hums with ominous energy. This machine generates 3 completely random numbers. These numbers are fed directly into the Dewey Decimal System, the arcane reference system by which books and their contents are categorized. In this way, the bingo machine conjures from thin air a topic of conversation so enthralling, so wildly unexpected, that it leaves the members of the Rambling Club both bewildered and vaguely excited. And thus, another evening is saved from the brink of boredom, thanks to Tony's marvellous, possibly haunted and entirely inexplicable bingo machine.
Well, here we are in our first location with the first set of numbers. And those numbers are...
3, 2, 3.
323, 323. And that means the first subject we are talking about is... civil and political liberties.
Ooh.
Civil and political liberties. Right. Ian, here's a question I once asked the actor Michael Jaston, and I'm hoping in some ways that it doesn't go quite... I can see Alan's face! I'm hoping it doesn't go quite as badly as it did then. But, as an actor, can an actor ever not be a political being, if you like? Because it always strikes me, I mean, I'm obvious, when I think of actors, I think of Joan Littlewood and people like that, but it always strikes me that actors are driven in some way. So is it possible as an actor not to be sort of politicized, your own individual?
No, of course not. But you'll be surprised
Really?
how many people have managed to sidestep that basic moral issue and sit comfortably in their chairs. No, it's impossible. I mean, anybody whose job is to reflect society and reflect life cannot but be infused politically by what's happening around them. I would find that pretty impossible. The problem you would run into is people allowing you to do that, to manifest that. That's where the problem is. It's not necessarily from the actors, but it may well be from the management or the corporation running that, I would suggest.
So, I mean, do you find yourself sometimes conflicted then, almost, with that sort of thing, with trying to sort of, so do you mean you might be told that no, they have a different?
Well, of course, listen. An actor is dependent on the parts. Now, if they're writing political parts, then great, you've got free rein. And if those political parts align with you, with your particular politics, then great. Oh, how interesting! Great, we can run with this. Again, you're constrained by whatever the writer's view is. They're not allowing me to, I'm not writing the script on that. So yeah, so that's the constraint we're under. Socially is an entirely different matter. Obviously, social media now allows you to air your views as much or as little as you want to. That may well run you into trouble, I would imagine, by various censorship and the like.
Yeah. Well, Alan, because we've found with sort of on the social media side, isn't it, that we've talked about the fact that it's all got so polarized, hasn't it? You've got to pick a side now, and it's all become very black and white, hasn't it?
It certainly has, yeah. And of course, the situation at the moment internationally is, in terms of civil liberties, looking pretty bleak, really. You've got Hungary seceding from the International Criminal Court. You've got whatever the fuck is happening in America. Jesus Christ. And we've got the recent Supreme Court ruling here, which has made life very peculiar for people. So, it's in terms of civil liberties, we seem to be taking vast retrograde strides at present, and social media has, I think, been a big driving force behind that, because people, bad actors, basically push narratives. I mean, a whole lot of the problem we've had with in this country has been driven by basically Russian propaganda machines spreading disinformation through social media, particularly Facebook, which is where people who didn't grow up with the internet tend to congregate, and people who didn't grow up with the internet have been seem to have been slightly less quick to catch on to the fact that not everything on the internet is true.
I mean, do you not find it? I'm finding a lack of artists speaking out on social media. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just my, my feeds or whatever. But I'm finding a lack of people out there speaking out, and they're probably the comfortable ones that were mentioned at the beginning, sat in their armchairs. I don't know if you're finding that.
I think there's probably a real fear, isn't there, of that sort of whole thing of cancel culture now, because if you do speak out, you do have to really be really considerate of every single thing that you say, because the last thing you want to do is sort of just put an opinion out there and damage your own career. We talked with Tony as well about the fact that, of course, before the internet, you didn't know about people's personal politics or anything like that. And now that we have the internet, we're discovering things, and some people, find it quite difficult to think that an actor they like didn't feel the same way about things and things like that. So there's a hell of a lot of information out there.
Yeah, but I was thinking earlier, actually, and I was talking to my kids about that. My generation, all we had was the bedroom. Nothing ever happened outside your bedroom. You literally, it was you and the window. You know, the world literally consists of your window. Ironically, now you're sat in your bedroom with just the window, but you can communicate through the entire world and anywhere in the world. It's the same.
Really?
It's the same physical situation, but an entirely different landscape. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's insane how much of life, I suppose, is played out there.
If it's there, why use it? You know, otherwise it's just shallow and it's vacuous.
Hmm.
I mean, Facebook is like having a fag outside the office. I mean, it can be as shallow as you want, and I don't know how shallow you find it. Again, it's probably my feed. I've probably just got nutters on my feed, and not people. I don't.
It is insane the amount. Well, it's all politics now that I find my Facebook is. I don't see what any of my friends are doing anymore unless I remember them and search for them. But the rest of the time, I'm just getting an awful lot of stuff. Well, it's basically people shouting at me on various TV news channels. But as I was saying the other day, the most sensible thing I've done recently is I've got rid of the news app on my phone, and I don't miss it at all. I think it's so refreshing to do that. And we were chatting to Graham Seed the other day, Ian, and he said rather than checking the news before he goes to bed, he's just reading a book for a bit and allowing himself to drift off. So I've adapted that over the last few days, and I listen to a record before I go to bed. And my God, I feel so much better for it. It's just because I think the breaking news is a horrific thing, just designed to wind you up.
No, I don't know. I don't have news speeds, so I'm not kind of susceptible to that. But again, I come back to the point of, you know, I just see it for what it is. It is literally garbage most of the time, you know, and it is literally flicking through a magazine or literally having a fag outside with a chit chat with an office worker. It has no depth. I can't find the depth in it. So therefore, it's not occupying too much of my brain. You know, it literally is maybe it's just a bit too habitual, and I need to stop it.
What about performers then? I'm thinking, because I noticed something this morning. I sent this link to a friend of mine. There was a very beautifully crafted 6-minute video of Britain's Got Talent. And I don't watch anything like that. It's just not for me. But the way that they put this together, it told a story very nicely, and it was so well edited. And I looked at it, and this was from the episode, I think, that was broadcast this Saturday, just gone. And it's been viewed on Facebook 12.8 million times. And you think, well, this is why the TV ratings are so low, I suppose, because people aren't interested in that. They don't want to sit down and watch a program anymore. They want social media to just give them that immediate thing. So that's affecting our art.
No, but the point there is there is no time for the story to appear on the show. To find a narrative in it, it has to happen after that, where there's time and space for that to happen. TV is not interested in that, so that story wouldn't appear there. And especially on something like Britain's Got Talent. I mean, Britain's Got Talent is not my favorite. The Voice, however, is a particular favorite of mine. That gives room for some of the artists and the performers' story. They have a little section where they talk about them, and they've made a little montage before, and you're suddenly involved, and their performance, you know, has a context. There's no context in Britain's Got Talent. You're literally, you know, in Butlins, right, stand up, next, thank you, yeah, or whatever, you know.
Yeah. What about drama then? How do you see the TV drama has changed? Because it's over the years, it's gone through all sorts of changes, but there's less and less of it being made these days, is the first thing that I've noticed.
Well, firstly, I would hold my hands up and say I'm not a massive TV watcher, which is odd. I mean, you know, for an actor, it's like drowning, isn't it? You know, all those parts are flashing before my eyes. Every part I should have played, never played, wanted to play, I'm seeing. So I'd rather just stand tensely in the corner while something's on. Of course, it's changed. I mean, I did a thing called Play for Today. I mean, what a fantastic title! Play for Today. It conjures up such great things. Single drama, you know. So there are no single dramas anymore. The way that TV works is they're buying they have to buy packages of programs. Therefore, the one thing you want to watch, you have to watch 10 other things that are potentially garbage, or America has to sell it. So we're susceptible to that. I would say adolescence has now changed the game, I'm sure, for a lot of people. So in my head, I'm kind of, pre-adolescence and post-adolescence in terms of TV and programs. So
Yeah.
and live TV. And the first time I ever appeared on TV was with a live audience.
Really?
Yeah, it was a real baptism of fire. It was a tiny little part, but I went, oh Jesus! So the warm-up man was in the studio, introducing the actors. You're waiting in the wings, and the woman pushes you, and you're on. I mean, it was kind of terrifying and exciting at the same time. I don't know if any of that kind of stuff goes on anymore. If that's still happening.
Was that being an audience then? Was that a sitcom role or?
Yeah, it was some 3 Up to. Michael Elphick was in it, which kind of will date it for you, for our older listeners. Yeah.
Oh, 3 Up, 2 Down with the best theme tune ever in television. I love that theme tune, that jazz theme tune. It's fantastic.
3 Up, 2 Down, and indeed that's nice. Indeed, you'll be racing to find it now, I'm sure. And I actually sang it. I played an appalling part of a punk, or the BBC's version of a punk rocker. It was fabulous. And I ended up in a studio recording this song. I mean, I thought I'd hit the big time. I thought this is it. I thought this is TV exposure plus record career all in one. But
But it's interesting, just also the fact that you mentioned Play for Today, which of course, when we were talking, and the first thing I asked you was, could an actor not be a political animal? And thinking about Play for Today, it made real proper changes, didn't it? Thinking about Kathy Come Home, we saw changes in the law. It's sort of a 1966 equivalent of Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. It actually kicked government up the arse a bit and made something happen. I mean, it can still do that. It's just it's not hard to. I don't think telly is being given the freedom to be telly, but I get jolly cross about it.
As you say, the most recent example of that is adolescence, which made the government sit up and go, we have to do something. What are you going to do? We don't know. Something. We haven't got a grasp of the issues, but we'll do something about them.
I mean, yes, it's still, TV can still speak truth to power or whatever, but we're talking about really isolated examples now, aren't we? We're kind of grasping to find them. And you're right about Play for Today. I mean, there was just a whole wave of like gritty northern dramas, and writers from at that time. Now I don't know. Are we? I'd like to think we've still got a regional voice and regional writers. They're desperate for them. I mean, I think it's coming. Maybe it's coming back round again. Everything's in fads. Remember, everything's in waves. You couldn't move for period dramas. You couldn't move for Downton Abbey, various versions of Downton Abbey or whatever. So I'd like to think it's swing round. I mean, don't forget, technically adolescence is what's really kind of rocked the boat as well. Just the way that was constructed and the way that was filmed. That is absolutely fascinating. That as a show in itself would be magnificent, The making of. I don't know how you do a making of because it was so complicated, but that's where a lot of the advice for me.
Oh, there's a shot. I saw a little bit of behind the scenes where it went from the camera being handheld to slipped into a harness underneath a drone. They let it go and the drone takes off. And then it comes back down, it follows a car, comes back down, and they simply slip the camera the other way back out the drone. It's handheld again. It's a miracle of filmmaking.
But I was talking to actors about that, and they went, "Oh, I wonder," because of the nature of the way it was made, and it was rehearsed over a long period of time, and then the whole episode was shot in its entirety. We were musing of, "Oh, does this mean theatre actors will now be in vogue?" Because essentially, that's a theatre experience. For an actor, we rehearse for 3 weeks and action go, and you're running the whole thing through as if it were a one-act play. So we don't know. Who knows? We're hoping.
Well, here we are in our second location with our second set of numbers, and the numbers are
3, 9, 1.
391, 391, and that means the subject is costume and personal appearance. Costume and personal appearance. Tony always dressed in the most glorious Hawaiian shirts that I shall never ever forget. And when we went to his funeral, we were under instruction. We weren't allowed to wear anything quiet or somber, which we absolutely didn't. But the most remarkable person who I saw was Sue Pollard, who came dressed like something from Alice in Wonderland. It was just
Normal dress.
really. Yeah, just Sue, really. I think costume on that occasion made a real difference, didn't it? It was could be social costume as well. Any immediate thoughts on that?
Well, we all. I mean, I like to think of myself as a fashionista, as a lot of us do. My policy is I never buy a full price item of clothing. I don't think I ever have for 20 years. I shop exclusively in charity shops. Which I know a lot of people do, and I get great satisfaction in that because I think I'd created what the high street would have. I would have created the high street for just a margin of what it would have cost me from there. So I'm a bit of a charity shop man, and I will look for anything that is slightly out of the ordinary, but I have to be careful. I mean, for an actor, remember, it's a busman's holiday a lot of the time. I am paid sometimes to dress up. So we tend to dress down. I believe a lot of actors tend to dress down, and that for that very reason, or that's the excuse for doing that.
We've had a big clear out over the weekend, and my wife's thrown half my wardrobe out, and she's gone, right, you haven't got any clothes anymore, and I said, great, don't need them. Take up space, can't be wrong.
No, thinking about it, what you said, Ian, I think one of my favourite items of clothing. My wife found me a cord jacket from 1970 from is it Macy's, which was an old New York department store. So it's a 50-odd-year-old jacket, and it's my favourite thing I've ever owned. I mean, I'm very much for the vintage as well myself. I much prefer that.
Of course it is. They always are. But for me, a lot of the satisfaction is the fact that, I found this item, and look at it. It's 20p, so I'll buy it and not necessarily even wear it. But it satisfied my ego enough to. I mean, I could open a shop. I literally could open a shop with the stuff that I've got. But what I'm trying to do these days is I'm trying to force myself to literally wear some stuff. The old thing you're supposed to do is, if I didn't wear that winter, therefore I don't need it, so I'll get rid of it or whatever. Or no, I'm trying to force myself. So yeah, I'll find a pair of trousers that are ridiculous, and I'll kind of grimace and wear them one day out, just so I've done it. And then of course you return it back to the charity shop, and if we've got this fabulous cycle of clothing, and we're not, well, we know the political implications of all those.
There's that Marie Kondo thing, isn't it, of throwing out anything that doesn't spark joy. That I'm kind of dubious about Marie Kondo because she said that nobody needs more than 30 books, and she herself has written 6 books. So she thinks she's written 20% of all the books any human will ever need. Not even George Bernard Shaw made that claim.
Well, that is, yeah.
Where do you stand with books then, Ian? Are you one of these people? Because I know that myself and Alan, we both have far too many books. There are books here that I will never read, but I like the spines, which my wife says is very much a male thing to like the spines. But are you like that with books, or are you one of these people who has one of those eye reader thingies?
No, I literally had this conversation yesterday with my kid. I mean, the kids were over. My kids were back, because it's Easter and we were talking about books. And what I had to admit was I like the idea of owning books that I don't necessarily read. or will ever read. So we were out, and I found this book, and I went, it was about food pairing.
Oh.
That shows it, right? Because it has no bearing on my life at all. But I went, this book is incredible. So I took the ISBN number. I'm buying this. I'm having this. It's hardback. It will look fabulous. And I know that it will remain at the side of my bed on the pile of all the other books that are on the side of my bed that make me feel that and she said, well, you're trying to create this person that you want to be, but it isn't you. So I will own up and admit to that. A book is the LP. I mean, it's what a beautiful object, what a beautiful thing to just have and touch and ignore, and have it there, which is supposed to be the same as my wardrobe or whatever. In fact, you're going to charge me for this therapy. I can see where this is. This is going to be 75 quid minimum on this. Anyway, yeah. Oh, and so books. I tried to work out my top 5 books and blah 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 while they were up. So I have a passing interest in books, but of course I came from a time when we had books. I mean, it's a bit of a brag, but all our family. My daughter was the first person in my entire history of my family, to go to university. And I think it was because I built a massive, huge bookcase when she was young, literally the full size of the wall, and I just crammed it with books. And she grew up reading books, and I'd like to think that that's where it ended up. But yeah, books are amazing. I wish I was more of a reader. I find it sitting down for long periods. I find it's troublesome sometimes.
Somebody said we buy books because we think we're buying the time to read them. So I think it's very true. You go, oh
wow. I am this wonderfully relaxed person that will, be able to sit out on my lounger and just reach out my hand and pick that book that I want. But no, I don't, because I'm knocking a wall down or building, screwing nails into, so you're banging nails into something or whatever. So we don't yet.
Yeah. Well, yesterday, I mean, I suppose it's similar. I was saying to my wife that something that I would love to think about over the next 10 years is I'd love to get a little sort of farm and maybe just to do a little bit of farming. And she said to me, no, you don't want to be a farmer. You want to play a farmer in a mid-70s episode of Emmerdale Farm. And she's quite right. In my head, that's what I would actually like. But I think it's probably the same with books. I'm currently waiting on the arrival of a book which is a biography of Kenneth Grahame, who wrote The Wind in the Willows. And it's just because it's got the most beautiful cover. And I thought, I'm probably not going to read it, but it's going to look lovely. I hope I read it, but I can't. We'll see. There's a lot of other books to read first, I'm afraid.
I should reveal to you at this point that I do have a flock of sheep.
Do you?
I do. I married a sheep farmer. I have a flock of duck-spotted sheep. Now, I can look out the window at them, and they're lovely sheep. Yeah, and then my wife can do the work necessary to keep them going. But if I need to, I can play. I can play the kind of smallholder card, if necessary, in any social occasion. Yeah, I have given birth to them, fed them, stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh. That's wonderful. That confirms to me that maybe my wife's wrong and it's not just a pipe dream.
In Ian's version of your fantasy, though, it's the wife who does all the work. So Sula is still going to be a stumbling block on this one for.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to get away with that. She's Scottish, my wife, Ian. Forget it. It's not going to happen. It remains a fantasy based at Yorkshire Television in 1974, I'm afraid. But there we go.
Indeed. And why did they stop calling it Emmerdale Farm? That we're talking about watersheds in TV. It was no longer a farm.
There we go.
It then just became Emmerdale. It'll be like high rise, and it'll be kind of a multiplex place where they all live next. But there you go. The farm's dead. It's gone.
It has. Well, here we go. Third location and third ramble. And the numbers are
1, 2, 9.
129, 129. And that means the subject is...
Is this the
Origin and destiny of individual souls.
Bloody hell.
Oh, perfect.
Really? Thank God for that.
Honestly, we'll nail this one. I'm going to open with Nietzsche.
Please do.
At the table of my soul sit many men. I think he absolutely, it's a poem. It's a poem. I never realized Nietzsche wrote poetry, but there you go. Someone on one of my mental rambles, that's where I arrived. And it's a phrase that stuck with me for a while. At the table of my soul sit many men. He then goes on to kind of describe the various people. So I would pluralize what you said and make it souls and not soul, because I think the whole point is we are multifaceted. We are many and not one. Woo! Woo! Off you go.
Blimey. Alan?
Well, it's just like that line from Walt Whitman, The Leaves of Grass, we quoted the other episode, which says, if I contradict myself, I am large, I contain multitudes.
We have many mouths to satisfy or to try and understand. And what is going to help us do that? I pose that now as a question. What is going to help us do that? And I retire immediately.
Well, is it? I suppose it's like it says, it's the individual souls. But if we think of it on an individual level, then I suppose the origin and destiny of our own individual souls. So where does our own sort of like individual belief come from? Do you both have any sort of like individual belief in the idea of a soul? I do more now because I've got a dog, and I know, Al, but I genuinely feel that this dog, that I've got such a connection with him, which, because I was brought up with dogs, so I've always believed that there's a real connection. But he knows my rhythms so well that we work symbiotically together, and we do things at the same time. It's weird, but I've never... It's an odd thing, but I can genuinely believe sort of that there is a soul because of that relationship. Or am I insane? Open to debate.
Or it says more about your dog than it does about you.
It could, but my dog's incredibly intelligent.
They're on a higher plane and they are more intelligent. I must, of course, reveal now that I also look after dogs. I take dogs in and we house them. I have four with me at the moment. But there you go. Dogs are great. I came to dogs. Oh, we're off a different track now. I came to dogs late in life, and I really do. And I'm glad that happened. You know, that's something that I might have been bored with or whatever by now, but it is a fantastic, fabulous experience. So I absolutely agree with you what you said there, which would lead me onto cat, which of course are one of the most evil creatures known to man.
Yes, I agree with that. We've domesticated dogs for at least 30,000 years, so obviously there's going to be a relationship there. And I love the dog, but we do also have two cats who will just randomly, this morning one of them just decided he hated me. There was no reason at all. I just got swiped. And I made the mistake of thinking he'd reached out by mistake, so I went to give him little forehead kisses, and he went for my eyes. I mean, they are bastards, really, cats. Alan, you don't like cats, do you?
No, I can't be doing. I mean, I'm not an animal person at all, really, but cats are definitely. I mean, the thing, most cats are cleverer than most dogs, and as we know, this inclines people to be evil. It's very hard to be evil when you can't think beyond the next 5 seconds. Although your dog is largely a Welsh Border Collie, and of course those are very clever dogs. My parents had a friend who had a Border Collie that was insane because they both worked full time, so it never got any stimulation. And like a clever person with no stimulation, it just went mental. It was incredibly neurotic.
And of course, the Egyptians, you know, they were revered. I mean, they were the highest order in that, almost in their society. I'm sounding cleverer than I am.
Yeah, the cat goddess Bastet, and they mummified cats, didn't they? Because they were holy animals. Although they did a lot of animals. You had mummified crocodiles and all kinds of things. The ancient Egyptians, they worshipped everything.
There's a great line from a comedian that I heard recently about the attitude, the difference between dogs and cats, and they said, "Have you ever seen a homeless person with a cat?"
Very
Yeah.
true.
No, the cat's just fucked off. He's gone. Yeah, you're on your own, mate. Off you go, and he's away. Oh, the dog stays with you. He will to the end, and that's why we love it.
I like Jeremy Hardy was talking about the difference between dogs and cats, and he said because cats are stupid and cats are clever and dogs are stupid. If you fall down the stairs and break your hip, the dog will rush around panicking and barking and might raise the alarm. If you fall down your stairs and break your hip and you've got a cat, you will look at the cat and hope that it is clever enough to go and fetch you the telephone. And the cat will look back at you with a slightly pissed off expression, wondering how hungry it will have to get before it eats your face.
So maybe what we're saying then is that I'm trying to get back to souls now. That maybe our souls in some way reside as in a partnership with an animal, either with our own animal or we are aligned with a certain animal. Oh no, I don't know what I'm down a cul-de-sac on that one.
Well, like a toto animal, everybody has like a spirit animal.
Well, you meet them or you meet people. This is my spirit guide. This is my angel. Blah blah blah.
You're never a dung beetle or a warthog, though, are you? It's always something cute.
Listen, I played a dung beetle once. There's a play written by a Czechoslovakian. They're called the Čapek brothers, and they wrote a play called the Insect Play, and it contains one of the families is a dung beetle. There's a Mr. and Mrs. Dung Beetle, and they forever you have a huge ball of shite on the stage, and you're pushing it and pulling it. That's their kind of existence. Anyway, sorry, another tangent there.
Of course, the Egyptians worship dung beetles as well. Because the scarab is a dung beetle. They believe that a dung beetle pushed the sun across the sky.
Oh wow, more on that one, please.
The ancient Egyptians, they had 3 or 4 different sun gods, and one of them was a giant scarab beetle that pushed the sun across the sky, and which dung beetles actually do backwards. I don't know if you've ever seen film of them doing it. You'd assume they stand on their rear leg. They don't. They stand on their front leg, push backwards. But yeah, you get beautiful, jeweled scarabs they used to have in Egyptian burial mounds and so forth. You'd see them painted on sarcophagi, cartouches and things. I've mentioned before, the worship of the sun got quite complicated in Egypt, and they had one pharaoh who basically tried to rewrite their entire theology. And he worshipped the sun god called Amun-Ra. And he basically tried to turn the whole Egyptian pantheon into a monotheistic cult of Amun-Ra. And consequently, when he died, all his temples and memorials and things were smashed to pieces by all the people who were furious he'd been fucking with their religion.
University. Well, it's an amazing place. Apparently, I wouldn't know, but so in Egyptian culture, then your soul is somehow harnessed with an animal. Then, I mean, presumably the sun, which at that time was still a powerful godlike image, and yet it was an animal that was controlling that. So the two are in relation.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the Egyptians had a lot of gods, and a lot of them were linked to various sacred animals. You had Sekhmet was the crocodile god, and Bastet, as I say, is the cat. I can't remember the name of the scarab beetle, unfortunately. But yeah, they had, they had quite an animist religion, as well as having quite a complex backstory involving the afterlife and what the various chief gods, what their story, Osiris being torn apart by the evil god Seth and then rebuilt by his wife Isis and all that kind of thing. But they also had quite an animist faith.
So at some point, did the idea and the nature of soul move from it being animal-based to us, to controlling our own souls in some way? I'm trying to bring it all back here in a really clever kind of lecturer way.
Yeah. They didn't kind of believe that you only had one soul. So it was a bit like what you were saying about Nietzsche. Your soul had various different aspects to it, and the one that we would in a Judeo-Christian tradition, would equate to our idea of the soul, was called your car, and that was the part of you that was your intellectual.
Sorry, your car.
Your car. Yeah. They worship their cars. Yeah, they were a bit like Americans in that fact.
No, I'm literally sorry. I honestly thought you said car.
Yeah, no, car, K-A, car, like the Ford. And that was the part that went to the afterlife and was judged by, what was his name? Jackal-headed god Anubis. He did you know this, don't you? Your soul goes down to the afterlife, and Anubis takes your heart and he weighs it in a set of scales against a feather. And if it's heavier than a feather, Anubis feeds your heart to the god of death, and you go to the underworld. And if it's lighter than the feather, you get to go to paradise along with all the pharaohs, where presumably they still rule over you. So it doesn't sound like much of a paradise to me, but that's what you get.
So that's that is like the fate. That's like the three fates thing going on with those women. But pre that, I presume that was. I don't know.
Yeah, it would be.
You're in the hands of this great butcher or baker or whatever he is with his scales doing that. Oh well, there you go.
Yeah, because the Greeks and the Egyptians.
Why want to worry about our own souls that we obviously have no control over whatsoever?
No, well, this is it, isn't it?
No.
I might as well just stick with Facebook and have a fag outside the office.
Well, here we are back in the shed. Our rambles for now are ended. And Ian Reddington, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you as our guest president on the Rambling Club. I mean, that was a hell of a ramble. 323-129-391. I think we've covered everything there. Have you enjoyed rambling with us?
I have, and you have sorted my lottery numbers out straight away, because I will now take the success of this and hope that I can monetize it in some way on the lottery. But it's been a pleasure. I didn't know what to expect, but there you go. But I'm still slightly worried about the ladders, but hopefully that will sort that out.
Oh, well, thank you. We will sort the ladders out, but really, it's been a pleasure to have you here. So thank you so much for coming along. And thank you to everyone at home for listening. And we hope that you enjoyed this week's meeting of the Rambling Club.
Now, the club meets every Friday, but if you'd like to get in touch in the meantime, here's how you can find your fellow members.
Tony's official website is at www.tonyslattery.com, and you can get in touch on the contact form on that website.
We're also at Twitter at Slattery Live. Please feel free to use the hashtag TSLC to discuss any of this week's topics.
I'm lurking on Twitter also at Paul Carmichael V, but you can find me on Blue Sky, and you can also find at Slattery Live on Blue Sky as well.
Theoretically.
I am trying to get this thing called Instagram moving in some way, so you can find me on there, which is Ian Reddington 57, and I'm on Facebook. You'll find me.
And Tony also has a Facebook group. He's at www.facebook.com/the_Tony Slattery.
And Tony is also on Instagram. There's so many things. Tony can be found on Instagram at Tony_Slattery_official.
But if people want to join the Rambling Club for themselves, Paul, how do they go about doing that?
Well, Alan, the club is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you would always be more than welcome to come and pop in and join the Rambling Club. You can hear episodes going out a few weeks in advance. You can get hold of your club badges and your membership card, and there's all sorts of bits and pieces about our lovely Tony that you can investigate as well. So head over to www.patreon.com/Slattery Live and have a look.
Yes, so please do get in touch by any of those methods. We'd be thrilled to hear from you.
We would. And we will be back again for another ramble next Friday at 5 to 5. But in the meantime, it's a goodbye from myself, Paul Carmichael. It's a goodbye from my colleague, Mr. Alan Lear.
Goodbye.
And it's a goodbye from our very special guest president. Thank you so much, Ian Reddington.
Thank you very much indeed. What a fabulous legacy you've got going here. Keep it up, lads.
You have been listening to Tony Slattery's Rambling Club with our special guest president, Ian Reddington. He was accompanied by Stephen Fryas, the voice of the bingo machine. Acting President Reddington was assisted by Paul Carmichael and Alan Lear. The music was composed and performed by Michael Livesley and Andy Frizzle. Silly voices are by Michael Livesley and the show's concept is by Paul Carmichael. Our producers are Stuart Morris and Alan Dybing and the show's researchers is Sola Carmichael. The show's producers are Erica Lear and Mark Hutchinson and the series executive producer is Mark Strickson. Tony Slattery's Rambling Club is a Finfanite production.
Goodbye, and thank you for listening.